I hear you sponsored the last song.
I love it. So I'm going to read a few selections out of my first book, The Wow Factor Workplace. We're going to read little sections out of a couple chapters, starting with chapter 3, Love What You Do. Face it, if you don't love what you do for a living, the workplace around you will not likely ever be a wow factor workplace. If you're not thrilled with your contributions, chances are you'll be a drag on those around you. You may not realize it, but you will pull down your peers and you'll cause disappointment to those you serve. Depending on where you are in the organization, the span of those you affect could be quite broad. Life is too short not to spend your days doing something you love, something which inspires you, something you might even be willing to do for free if you had some way to pay the bills. If you don't love your workplace, if you're not energized and fulfilled by your role, you owe it to yourself and those around you to make a change. You really should have a heart-to-heart conversation with yourself and figure out what can be done to get more wind beneath your wings. More often than not, wow factor workplaces are what they are thanks at least in part to one or more heartfelt leaders somewhere within the organization who serve as a catalyst to encourage and enable themselves and their team members to be the best they can be, doing something they love to do. They bring spirit to life. A wow factor workplace is one where customers experience that wow spirit time and again. Once they experience that wow spirit, they come to expect that wow spirit, and they rely on that wow spirit at every touch point. In a real wow factor workplace, customers are rarely disappointed because the team members working there love what they do, and their passion shows. It's evident to everyone. Whenever I have the opportunity to interact with an organization I love to do business with, it's usually because the staff makes me feel special, like a VIP. Often, when that organization makes me feel like a very important person, it's usually due to employees who, when asked, unashamedly say that they love their job and they love their boss. There's a beautiful spiral of spirit. A while back, I had the wonderful opportunity to speak with the then Senior Vice President of Customers for Southwest Airlines, the late Teresa Larrabee, one of the highest-ranking female executives in the airline industry. Until her passing on Christmas Day, 2015, Teresa provided senior leadership for 3 departments: customer support and services, customer relations and rapid rewards, and customer service. She ensured the airline's many customer-focused activities were coordinated and aligned to one vision for how Southwest would continue to meet its customers' current and future needs better. Teresa shared this story with me. I have always been viewed as, jokingly, Mother Teresa, with the first name of Teresa. At home and at work, and even early on in my jobs, even as a kid, working and waiting on tables, coaching swimming lessons, and coaching the swim team. I always got so much joy out of watching everybody else succeed, not putting together what a difference that was going to make in my life. It was just who I had become. I celebrated so much watching everybody else succeed. It would just hurt me when the kids didn't succeed. It tapped into a side of me that I knew I could make sure that other people were successful or be there for them when they weren't. That fed me. So I wound up at Southwest Airlines. It was almost as if Southwest Airlines was made for me. It was a company that allowed you to be that way. Over the 30 years I've been here, I've had so many opportunities to see what a difference it makes to work for a company that lets you care. I was attracted to Southwest Airlines. I'd flown as a college student between Dallas and Lubbock. My grandmother had just passed away when we first moved to El Paso, and my mom and dad and I flew Southwest to get to Dallas for her funeral. It wasn't a full airplane, but I was so moved by how fun everybody was. Here we were having a tough time, and my mom and dad, the flight attendants would ask my mom and dad if they were okay. You could feel the difference. You could feel they were engaging in a way I just don't think I would have picked up on otherwise. Every time I had an opportunity to fly, it resonated with me, and I did know Southwest Airlines was known as a company that hired fun people. It was a young and up-and-coming company at the time. It looked for employees who enjoyed the customer and who enjoyed the interaction with the public. That's what drew me in at first. The opportunity then to promote into leadership was what kept me here, because it has given me a chance to make a difference in people's lives. Not just personally, but professionally. That has fed something I can't seem to step away from. We're lucky at Southwest. We first try to hire people who care. In a hiring process is looking for people who genuinely enjoy what they do. We call it a servant's heart. People who have a servant's heart are people who, especially if you're going to be on the service side of it, enjoy serving. Not somebody who merely pretends they're enjoying it. We look for kind-hearted people as we go through the interview process. It could be anywhere from how you dealt with the agent when you get put on the plane, to the shuttle driver, to the hotel front desk. If we get a report telling us an employee or a prospective employee hasn't been kind to somebody, that really makes a difference for us. We won't hire that somebody. We've already set ourselves up to look for people who care. We also now, a company of 45,000 employees, and we're going to get employees who are qualified at what we need to have them do, but who also have a caring attitude when we interview them. On a similar note, Teresa shared this about loving what you do and being loved in return. I don't like to talk about myself, but I save every little thank you note I get. I keep the notes I get back from people when I was doing what I just thought we were supposed to do, what I knew I should do, and how it touched somebody. I keep those to remind me it's worth the effort. I know I've made a difference in people's lives when they've gone through some really tough times, because I've been able to share what I have, and when I've been able to reach out and be somebody else's support, either losing a family member or having breast cancer, not because it gave me attention, but because it gave that person comfort. I think if you do it, and I know I do it because somebody has done it for me, and I know how good that felt, I can't help but to want to pay it forward. I'm fortunate in the fact that I have two daughters who are very much like me in that sense, and who really are already seeing the value in doing that, in living their lives that way. That, my friend, is what they call the Southwest spirit. That's also the spirit of a wow factor workplace. While interviewing several members of the senior leadership team at Southwest, I had the opportunity to speak with Colleen Barrett, President Emeritus and Corporate Secretary. Colleen was there in the earliest days alongside Southwest Airlines co-founder and former chairman and CEO Herb Kelleher, who passed away in 2019 at the age of 87. Colleen shared this about Herb Kelleher's earliest wow vision for Southwest. The only legacy really Herb ever wanted to leave was a legacy for his kids and his grandkids, and for all our employees' kids and grandkids. He never had a goal to be the biggest. He never had a goal to be the most profitable. What he did want, he wanted to be the best. He wanted to be the best in terms of employee culture, and he wanted to be the best in terms of customer service and delivery. That was the dream he had. It wasn't to be rich. You know, money has never really meant anything to him personally, or he'd still be practicing law as an attorney. He could have made 10 times more money there. But Southwest was a cause. it was a mission. It was a cause for him, and it is for most, I think. Teresa Larraba, who I introduced you to in the previous chapter, provided a bit more insight into the implementation of the Southwest mission to be the best in employee culture, customer service, and delivery. Early on, when we started, one of the taglines was, "Somebody up here loves you." We used the word love in a space where it had never been, especially in the airline industry. Our stock symbol is LUV. We were open about introducing love to corporate America and the airline industry. We were going to have a product which loved you and a company which was going to serve you and appreciate you doing business with us versus the attitude, you exist to keep us in business. Early on, the customer became number one. The difference that was going to set us apart was going to be our people. It was going to be how our people deliver on that promise, which meant how our flight attendants interacted with our customers, how our airport employees interacted with our customers. We encouraged people from day one just to be themselves. The silliness you see on Southwest Airlines, the jokes and some of the singing of the emergency announcements, all that does is continue to retrench in the airline industry that you can still be different, you can still care, and you can still provide a fun experience for customers, especially in an industry which hasn't always been so fun. My partner, Dr. Mark Goulston, had the opportunity to chat with Gary Ridge, President and CEO of the WD-40 Company, maker of the ever-popular penetrating oil and water displacing spray, WD-40. The company also produces products like 3-in-1 oil, the heavy-duty hand cleaners Salvo and Lava, the household cleaning products like X14, Carpet Fresh, Spot Shot, 1001 and 2000 Flushes. A native of Australia, Gary Ridge has been with WD-40 since 1987 in various management positions. He's worked directly with WD-40 in 50 countries. In 2015, the Center for Leadership Innovation and Mentorship Building, CLIMB, named Gary its Outstanding Business Leader for 2015, citing him as a walking textbook on effective leadership. Gary shared this philosophy about creating positive, lasting memories and personal magnificence. One of the lovely things we do here at WD-40 is that we don't make mistakes, rather we have learning moments. Why? Because a learning moment is a positive or negative outcome of any situation that can be openly and freely shared with one objective, to help us become better, to help us tomorrow step into a new version of our best self. We have the opportunity every day to step into a new version of our best self. I think that's wonderful. Out of that comes the only thing we ever have in life, which is memories. At the end of the day, the only thing we will ever have left of today is a memory. Everything material will be gone. Our job is to create positive, lasting memories. I want you to leave here today with a positive, lasting memory. I will leave here today with a positive, lasting memory because you came to visit me. Why? Because I would have learned something from you. You would have given me something I didn't have before. And I hope I give you the same. It's the same in business. That's really what it's all about. You know, we're a public company, and we must create positive, lasting memories for our shareholders. Interestingly enough, if you look at our track record over the last 17 years, we've got a pretty enviable growth rate and profit in return. We didn't do it by leaving people on the sidelines. We did it by creating an environment where we allowed people to perform their own personal magnificence every day. Wow factor workplaces don't get to be wow factor workplaces by accident. They become that way through passionate determination, persistence, unwavering attention to detail, mentoring, and heartfelt leadership. Sometimes adjustments are required. Adjustments are made all the time in wow factor workplaces to make things even better than they already are. The adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, is not the way wow factor workplaces become wow factor workplaces. Sometimes you must break things intentionally to make continuous, dramatic improvements that enable wow to happen. Any questions?
So with the recent debacle at Southwest.
Yes.
What is, I mean, you have a broad perspective from your career and
Yes.
professional contributions. What's the lesson learned from what you just described to what is today?
So, okay, this can't leave the room. Here's the secret. So about, I'm going to guess 15 years ago, Southwest acquired a company called AirTran. I don't know, have any of you ever flew on AirTran?
Yes.
And how would you compare that to Southwest?
Well, there are similarities, but it was more, I felt like I was cattle being loaded.
Yeah.
Herded.
Yeah. So, okay, so that's a great way to identify it. So when AirTran was brought in, of course Herb Kelleher had been the CEO and chairman. He was the founder of Southwest Airlines. And when they acquired the company, he decided that was the perfect time for him to step back and just be the chairman and allow the CEO of AirTran to now become the CEO of Southwest. Now he had, I don't know how long Gary Kelly had been the CEO at AirTran, but he didn't come in with the same mindset necessarily that the Southwest, and most people when they join Southwest, they stay there forever because nobody wants to leave. And I can tell you, when I interviewed Colleen Barrett, who at the time was retired and so was her, but they still had adjoining offices in the corporate building in Dallas, she was a little concerned about what was going to happen with Southwest because Gary wasn't 100% on board with the Southwest spirit. It was a different thing. So I know she was a little concerned, and I think what we saw going on over the course through the pandemic and all of that, there was a big focus on profitability and cost cutting, and a lot of people weren't flying anymore. There were months where nobody was flying any planes, and so you could just really see this huge turn of doing anything they could to make money and stay profitable. And I could very quickly see when they agreed to fly certain flights for the U.S. government. And when you're a contractor to the U.S. government, you will adhere to their rules and mandates, if you get my drift. And that was a huge turning point. Huge turning point. And I could see it in the people that I interacted with there. You could see it with the flight attendants who were, the pilots and the flight attendants never stopped being who they were, the caring people that they were, but you could just see the concern that it wasn't coming top down anymore. Well, the good news is Gary Kelly retired in January of 2022. And the new CEO at Southwest, Bob Jordan, has been at Southwest his entire career. He's an absolutely wonderful man. He has inherited a big, huge problem. The good news was Southwest was profitable in 2022 in spite of the disastrous December that they had. So he's got a big job to turn it around. But I think once, and I know it's already happened, the employees who are there, they know and they love Bob Jordan. And they will work together to turn it around. So I have every confidence that they will turn this around. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad you brought up the leadership aspect, and you alluded to it so much there, the personality of the person. I've had various experiences both like that and unlike that, having bosses, but I stayed at a job much longer than I probably would have because a boss was such an inspiration and such a leader and such a, I don't know, mediator. She had a big staff. I was just one of the senior staff, and her personal characteristics allowed me to be a better leader of the staff of 5 in my own department. And once she left, everything changed. I retired too, but I think there's something special about a person who has the leadership qualities that you've defined, and I'm not sure that that's something that can be taught or learned. It's almost inherent in the person. Do you agree?
I do.
And I say it in this book.
Yay!
And in my follow-on books. It's not something that you can just read a book and now you know how to do it.
Exactly.
But at least books like this give you the confidence that you can do it and you can get away with it. And you'll actually have a better company for it. Yes, ma'am.
I think related to that, one of the things you mentioned that impressed me most is like you can't encourage a person, is that Southwest was intentionally trying to hire people like that, because you can.
It's all in your
can
attitude.
filter out and look for different qualities during the hiring factors.
Indeed, indeed. And that they say that in another part of the book that, well, if you're a pilot, well, you have to,
Right.
yeah, you have to be able to be a pilot and have had all the training. They're not really going to train you to be a pilot, you better know. But they hire people on attitude. I mean, that's absolute #1 thing, because they can, for most jobs, they can train you to do it. They can train you to be a flight attendant. They can train you to be a customer service agent. But you bring the spirit, and that's what a wow factor workplace has, is very spirited people who love what they do.
Very nice.
Yeah, well, and I read probably faster than I did at home.
This is her first.
I didn't see that. I thought maybe she was asking first.
But she's having a great experience, so. And you're coming tomorrow.
I don't
So who's the next speaker?
I know.
He's probably finding us right now.
I lived in Dallas. You even went there issue in December.
I would be encouraged to hear what
Yeah, it's interesting. I contacted in my 3rd and 4th book. Usually I don't interview the same people over and over again. And other than Southwest, I never interview more than one person. I may have interviewed a bunch of people, but I never one. And in my last 2 books, I really related to their executive vice president and chief marketing officer, Rutherford. And I contacted her in December, and I said, wow. I can only imagine what you're going through. You know, my heart goes out to you, because you're the marketing person, you're the face of the company, so how do you deal with this? And I said, you know, if there's anything I can do, I'd be happy on my own dime to just come to Dallas and sit and watch it. You know, if you want a story told about how you pulled this out, because I have every 100% confidence you're going to. And she said, I love that idea, and I would love to have you come and do that, but more than time, I don't think our CEO and chairman are going to want outsiders in this room.
I believe it. That was really good.
Thank you.
Sorry.